Okay, let's let it run for just a second. We are live. How's everyone doing out there tonight?
Hey guys, how's it going? Making some adjustments here
Yeah,
on the live stream.
want to say hello to everybody on Facebook, everybody here on TikTok. My name is John Gardner. This is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we
Hey
are
guys.
the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza. We are in our 25th year. This October, we're celebrating our 25th
Ooh,
anniversary.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. 25 years of helping people, and we've been enjoying it the whole time. So
Most
anyway,
of the time.
yeah, all the time,
It's-
most of the time. You're
yeah,
right.
in the
There have been
end,
some
most
tough
of the time.
spots, most of the time. But anyway, we come to you every Monday night, and we give you immigration updates, and we answer questions that you may have. So it's kind of, just a freewheeling situation. Sometimes there's structure. Sometimes we just, get into questions, and it takes us in a different direction. But that's what we're here for. We're here to provide information. We want to make sure that we keep the community informed. We want to make sure that you have a resource. If you have things that you want to ask, whether it's immigration or something surrounding immigration, it doesn't have to be a specific question, but that's what we're here for. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes.
And let me welcome all the TikTok folks again. We've got a quite slightly different system here, so you're a little farther away. So I'm gonna.
Are you putting your reading glasses on? You think that's gonna work?
Well, we're gonna see if this helps any.
We are showing our age here with the reading glasses.
I did say it was
So,
our 25th anniversary.
About to share this on a couple of things here. Hold on a second. But yeah, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments, and we'll be happy to answer them.
Right, and I do want to put a couple warnings out. First of all, for the folks on TikTok, we take the questions in the order that they come in. This is for Facebook too, but especially for TikTok, we answer the questions in the order that they come in. And so if you just blast the TikTok with your question over and over and over again, it just slows things down for everyone, because then I have to keep working back to the very beginning. So just put your question in one time. Really appreciate it. That's a good way of showing respect for everyone, and we'll take them in the order they come in. Second warning, what we do here is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. It is not legal advice. I want to make sure that we emphasize that we are not giving you legal advice here. We're taking snippets of questions and hypotheticals and throwing out some answers, but do not construe it as legal advice, because it is not. Okay.
Oh, we have a situation. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. We're making some adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we go ahead and I'm trying to add Facebook back on, because it looks like we're just on.
Oh, you're right. We did. We got kicked off of Facebook.
No, it says we're live, though.
It does. I know. I see it.
So I'm confused. And there's one viewer.
Yeah.
But I don't see it.
It's probably my mother.
That's funny.
Hi, Mom.
Thanks for the love, guys. Appreciate that. Okay, well, I'm trying to figure this out. Do we have any immigration updates?
Well, we don't have any new updates. I can anticipate some of the questions. Just a few reminders. One involving DACA. DACA is still status quo. If you have DACA, you can continue to renew DACA, but new applications can be filed but are not being processed. So that's the same place that it has been since January 17th. Is that when the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals handed down their decision, mostly affirming what the federal judge below had already done. That case may end up in the Supreme Court, likely will. We shall see what happens with it. That's the only real update involving current issues with immigration. I will speak generally while Radlin is working on this technical problem here.
I think we're good. I can't see it, but
one of the warnings that we've been giving is that there's heightened scrutiny right now. There's heightened enforcement. And so, be aware of it. And it's not a matter of like, we're we've been accused by some on this very live stream, of trying to help criminals hide from the law and that kind of thing. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just some common sense, and folks that are absolutely in status are still at risk of getting snagged and getting into a bad situation, that ultimately they'll probably be okay with, but they could avoid altogether by just taking a few steps. So be careful out there, all right? And by be careful, I mean, don't do things that unnecessarily put you face to face with law enforcement. So watch your speed, make sure your headlights aren't, burned out, make sure that your inspection stickers on your cars are up to date, all those kinds of things. A warning that we would
Absolutely.
give to anybody, this is not just for somebody who's worried about immigration right now. This would be for anyone out there. Remember, you have an absolute expectation of privacy in your own home, so you are under no obligation by law to answer the door or let anybody in your house, even the police. So ICE shows up, police show up, they ask if they can come in to answer you a few questions. The answer is no. You cannot come in to answer a few questions, period. It's no more complicated than that. It's hard
It's hard.
to say that, but it's not complicated. All right.
Yes, and I think we've mentioned, well, I've mentioned a couple of times, John was a criminal defense attorney for 20 plus years. And this is what he did for a living, right? He objected to everything. He
Largely in immigration context, but yes.
Right. Objected to the police, the prosecutors, had to do arguments in front of the judge, jury. And I'm an immigration attorney and doing, paper filings for my clients and meeting clients in the office and, getting green cards and citizenship. And, first off started with some removal cases, but for the most part, my clients brought Punset and Olympia and celebrated, right? And it's not typically for my practice where, there's just a lot of contention. And so in the few times that I've had to do it and had to stand up to ICE agents or USCIS immigration officers, it's tough to do it. And that's what we're trained for. And even still for me, it was a hard thing to do to stand up for law enforcement. It's my job, of course. I'm being representing my client zealously, so did it. But it's tough. And for people who don't do it or are not trained to do it, I can imagine that telling someone that you're not going to open the door is a little bit of a scary prospect. But as John mentioned, is absolutely your right to do that.
Yeah, in a vehicle, it becomes a little less. Your expectation of privacy in your car is less than your expectation of privacy in your home. And you are required under Supreme Court precedent to provide basic information, like your name. But you are not required to consent to tests. You're not required to consent to a search of the vehicle and those types of things. So that's why it's also important to have some sort of identification on you, something that you should always be carrying an ID with you, preferably one that has a local address. So try to get something that has an address that's locals, that has your name, correct information. That's all that they're looking for. If police can identify who you are and where you live, that's typically the end of it. That's all they're looking for. They just need to make sure that they've identified who you are. I would go a step further if you're in an immigration process, and I think Radlin would agree with this, that it is helpful to have paperwork with you, even if your case is still pending, knowing that you have something that is pending, something that's in process, that
Absolutely.
Something has been filed. Even better if you have an attorney and you have that attorney's card. And these are things that are going to make law enforcement less likely to continue asking for follow-up questions. If they see that you have an ID, maybe you're not a U.S. citizen, but maybe you don't have a green card yet, but your case is pending and you've got paperwork. Here's what we filed. This is the law firm that we're working with. That's going to go a long way to to ending the inquiry from law enforcement.
If there's inquiry about your immigration
If
status.
there's inquiry about your immigration status. Exactly. All right.
All right. We have been covering this for the last 6 weeks or so. And we just want to make sure that,
Yep.
you all know what your rights are. So I do have an update. And for those who are on social media and are following immigration because you're a permanent resident or you're a U.S. citizen and you have family members who are going through the process, there have been reports, and this is scary, that lawful permanent residents have been getting detained at airports when they have left the United States to visit outside of the country and when they're coming back in. And so you may be seeing that on social media. That's a very scary prospect. I have clients calling, like, I just got my 2-year card. Am I okay to leave the country? I've seen that some permanent residents are getting detained at the airport. So I want to clear that up. That is a very, very specific, they're very specific sets of facts where this might happen. And that is where you are traveling while you're in removal proceedings. You're a permanent resident for some reason because, maybe you were charged with something, or maybe something happened that came up and you were put into removal proceedings. And now you've traveled outside as a permanent resident because you are still a permanent resident. Only an immigration judge can take away your lawful permanent resident status. Okay. An immigration judge only. And you're traveling while you're in removal proceedings. The policy seems to have changed where CBP, they're detaining lawful permanent residents who fall under that category. Another category of permanent residents that this may happen to is people who have filed for their permission to remove their conditions on lawful permanent residency and the I-751. And the I-751 takes a long time. It takes 3 years or whatever. But during that whole time, our clients are able to travel in and out of the United States as permanent residents. But if you're outside of the United States and God forbid, your I-751 for whatever reason is denied by USCIS, you're going to pop up in the system when you're coming back in, and you may have some issues at coming back into the United States. Now, ultimately, as permanent residents, this is going to get resolved, right? You're going to get referred to an immigration judge, or they're going to allow you to come in and do something called a deferred inspection. But it shouldn't be correct that CBP is taking green cards and throwing them away, like, and cutting them. That's not that seems very unusual to me. And the worst case scenario is that you are going to get detained for a really long time at the airport in secondary inspection. You may have a deferred inspection where you'll have to go to your local CBP office to get inspected further. But you still will be able to have an immigration judge hear your case. So that's an update on that. Hopefully that helps and calms a lot of people down who are, let's just say, general run-of-the-mill people who have lawful permanent resident cards, 2-year, 10-year, and these sets of facts don't apply to you. Okay. Now, here's another thing that we mentioned last week or a couple of weeks ago, is if you have a criminal record, you have a conviction, and you are a lawful permanent resident, and that has been resolved, and you have paid your fines, you really may want to, you should carry, let me be stronger about this, you should carry a certified disposition of that criminal charge or that arrest, so you're able to show CBP what the outcome was of that criminal charge or arrest. If you're working with an immigration lawyer, let's say you were convicted of a crime, you're working with an immigration lawyer, that immigration lawyer is going to tell you whether or not you should travel outside of the United States. So there are several circumstances where if you have a criminal conviction, you should not leave the United States. So if you fall under those sets of facts and you've been convicted of a criminal conviction, maybe you're not sure, maybe you didn't consult with an immigration attorney, please contact us. We'll be happy to consult with you.
Yeah.
And just, or your local reputable immigration attorney who will be able to tell you, no, you should not travel. But everyone who you have traveled outside and you have had a criminal conviction, you've had no problems coming in and out with that criminal conviction or that arrest, those days are probably over. You need to get the certified disposition for your criminal conviction or arrest, no matter what happened to it.
Absolutely.
It could have been it could have been dismissed, right? It could have been null prost, which is not prosecuted. Great. Carry the paperwork with you so you spend less time in the airport. We got a call a few weeks ago from a client whose daughter, a former client whose daughter, who is a lawful permanent resident, traveled for the first time on her green card, came back in, and she had a theft conviction. Theft conviction was all done. Everything was fine. And it happened to fall under something called the petty offense exception. So when you're coming in and you have a theft conviction like this, and you didn't receive any suspended or active jail time over 180 days, you're fine. And it's a misdemeanor. You're fine. It falls under the petty offense exception. You should be able to come back into the United States with no issues. That was not the case here. Client's daughter was detained for many, many hours, and then she was referred to immigration court. So she received a notice to appear in immigration court. Now she has to check in with ICE every so often until her court date. And now she has to pay an immigration attorney to represent her in court. The craziest thing, I'm not going to say the craziest thing, but she spoke with an attorney who quoted her $50,000 to represent her in immigration court. And I'm telling you, if she had traveled with her certified disposition and a letter from her attorney that this fell under the petty offense exception, none of that probably would have happened. So save yourself a lot of headache if this applies to you.
She's getting flagged coming back in because it's kind of a confusing concept at first, but there are certain criminal convictions for non-U.S. citizens that will not make them necessarily removable from the United States, but will make them inadmissible coming back into the United States. And
Right.
So they're flagging it because they don't really know what it was. They just know that it's something that could potentially make her inadmissible. And Radlin's right. If she had something showing that, explaining to the officer, then they could say, oh yeah, you're right. Okay, we have the certified disposition right here. It does fall under the petty offense exception. You're good to go. But this brings up a broader point that I want to mention here, and that is this criminal conviction stuff. If you have a criminal record, and I'm talking even minor stuff, you really need to be more careful, not just with the travel, but just with everything you're doing with immigration. If you're in an immigration process right now and you have a criminal record, again, even minor stuff, you're like, oh, that was no big deal. I just paid the fine and that was the end of it. You really need to consult. I mean, I feel like every person doing immigration should have an immigration lawyer, but I mean, of course I do. I'm a lawyer. But if you have a criminal record of any kind, or you have a criminal case that is pending and you're in an immigration process, you really should consult with an immigration attorney, because those cases become complicated very quickly. And the problems can compound very quickly if you don't know what you're doing, and you can really step into a trap without even knowing it until it's too late. And then you're out of luck. You can't undo the damage that you've done once you've made the misstep. So this is really, if any of you know the old carpenter expression, to measure twice, cut once, get an immigration lawyer to measure twice before you cut.
Oh, this is a good time to reintroduce ourselves. I am Radlin Mendoza, immigration attorney, co-founder of Gardner Mendoza, sitting here with my husband, John Gardner, and we are immigration attorneys. We represent people all over the United States of America, as well as all over the world. And we have been since the year 2025 years ago. I cannot believe how time flies.
And hello again to all the TikTok folks out there. We got all, whoa.
We have a lot
okay.
of questions.
We have 72 questions.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get started. We've been talking a lot, but we just wanted to let you know that, because I think it's extremely important and just something that we don't think about. You know, we're watching social media, we're on the news, we see news of mass deportations, we see, is it true, is it not true? Even American Immigration Lawyers Association is telling us, look, a lot of stuff on social media is not true. Yeah. A lot of these videos are from years ago, right? That are popping up. So maybe it's a sense that we're trying to make this mass deportation seem even bigger than it actually is. Hopefully that's the case, but it is to scare people. And
tread carefully.
Yeah, be careful. Well, I mean, when I take my daughter to school, I just jump in the car, and if I don't have my purse, I don't have my purse. But I went back in to get my ID just because I don't want any trouble, right? Anyway, okay, let's grab the first question on TikTok.
First question on TikTok was from Steven. Got here right on time.
Thank you, Steven. Appreciate that. Know, hopefully he's still here.
Yeah, hopefully you're still here, Steven. He's first up. He wanted to know, can I apply for citizenship with an expired green card?
Yes, you can.
All right, Steven, I hope it was worth the wait.
I will say a couple of things about that. An expired green card, it's like having an expired passport, right? You're still a permanent resident of the United States, even if your green card is expired. And I'm talking about a 10-year card here. I'm not talking about a 2-year card. If your 2-year card is expired, you need to remove the conditions on your permanent residency. I'm not talking about the 2-year card. I'm talking about a 10-year card, and it's expired. And maybe you've been procrastinating about filing for U.S. citizenship. So many people do. Join the club. It's okay. You're here now and you're asking about it now. And some people let their green card lapse because they don't need it for whatever reason, right? Maybe they've already verified with their employer that they're permanent residents. They don't have to re-verify, so they don't have to worry about the green card. You have your driver's license. It's already tied to your legal presence here in the United States. So, but you don't have to have that current in order to file for U.S. citizenship. And for those of you who don't want to renew your green card, but you want to apply for citizenship, absolutely do it and go for it. Now is a great time to apply for U.S. citizenship, guys. Let's get into that for a second. Our test is the same that's been around for several years now. During Trump administration 1, it got harder. The test got harder, and then it went back to the old test. And so there is a possibility that they're going to change the test again. So now the test is 100 questions that you have to study. The immigration officer will orally ask you 10 random questions from there, and you have to get 6 correct. And there's no multiple choice about these civics and history questions. I know a lot of people have test phobia and they're super scared about taking tests, stresses them out. So now is a great time to apply for U.S. citizenship. The wait times are relatively quick right now, and why not? Don't be the people out there who are like, oh gosh, Trump is president now. I'm going to wait until he's not president anymore to file for U.S. citizenship. That's silly. If you were otherwise qualified for U.S. citizenship, apply now, because waiting times are probably only going to get longer. 200 people from the Department of Homeland Security have been terminated. So there could be more cuts, which maybe some of the immigration officers, maybe some of the support system for USCIS. So get your applications in. We can certainly help you with that. You may be looking at the end form like, I can do this, I can do this.
Best time to get started is tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
By calling 757-464-9224. That's right. That's our phone number.
That is our phone number. But
right.
so here's the thing, right? I know there are a lot of you guys out there who have said, I can do the N400. I don't need to hire a lawyer to do it. I have a super clean case. I haven't even been out of the country. Fine. If that's the way you feel, then file it. But don't let it sit on your nightstand for 5 years. You know how many times I've heard this story?
Yeah, that's no good.
Sometimes people say, well, I can file it myself. Like, well, how long have you been trying to file it yourself? Oh, 5 years. Okay. Well, I will get it filed for you. I procrastinate on my own personal things. I do not procrastinate on getting an N400 file because we know how to do it and we're not confused about it. Okay.
Audrey wants to know, any chance my messenger question was already answered? I missed the start.
No,
it wasn't, Audrey.
We had an
because
issue.
We only had one question that we've answered so far, and that was Steven. So
pop it up there.
Pop it up there.
Absolutely. Okay. Beatrice says, hi, Beatrice. She says, thank you for all your advice. We feel supported. You're very welcome. Even so, I'm afraid my question is, what is the document we should not miss in our handbag? So I think that you're talking about what should you carry?
Yeah. It depends on what your status is, first of all.
So,
if you have a green card, of course, you want to be carrying it.
It is a law that you must carry your permanent resident card on you.
And so if you're talking about, as we were talking about at the beginning, if you have a case that's pending right now, then you want to have the paperwork, filed. If you have a receipt notice, we know what that means. Not a ton in terms of how far along you are, but to a local law enforcement officer, that looks like something. It looks official, and it is, of course. But it looks like you're doing something that seems legal in immigration, and so they just, okay, you're good to go. Hopefully, that's what happens. That's what we are shooting for. An ID that you have. If you have an ID, if you have a driver's license, of course, you want to have that on you. You're required as well, just like a green card. You're required to have a driver's license on you if you're driving. If you can't get a driver's license in many states, including Virginia, you can get a driving privilege card, and you can have that with you. And the great thing about that versus a foreign driver's license is it's going to have a local address. The address matters. I did criminal defense for many, many years, and I've spoken to probably thousands of police officers when you add them all up. Local address is a big deal. They things that are out of state makes it a little, more uncomfy for them. Out of the country really makes it distressing for them in terms of what to do, because they're issuing you paperwork to come to court and they don't know how they can find you. That's when they don't want to let you go, is what they think.
Right.
That they're not going to be able to find you in the future if they need to. All right.
Yep.
So local address is helpful.
And I happen to know that Ms. Hayes is a U.S. citizen. So maybe the question is, do I need to carry my U.S. passport with me? U.S. citizens are not required to carry any proof of their U.S. citizenship. If you are nervous about anything, then maybe you want to go and apply for a passport card and carry that around with you.
Yeah, I'm
not carrying my passport.
I know. I was going to say, I'm not a big fan of carrying your passport everywhere you go. That's a recipe for losing it. And
it's taking a long time to get a new one.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily do that. Maybe even a photocopy of it could be something you might want to consider. And that also brings up, I did want to answer, there's a question that we've been getting a lot of that I'll just preemptively answer. And that is, we have U.S. naturalized citizens who every week are coming on asking, hey, I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. I have a U.S. passport. If I leave the country, am I going to be able to get back in? The answer is yes, of course. You're absolutely going to be able to get back in. If you're a U.S. citizen, you really don't need to be concerned about this.
Yes, that's correct.
Rather than always ads for now.
But there's also, look, if you have a warrant out for your arrest, you leave the country and you come back in, you could be getting arrested.
Yeah.
But these are very special circumstances.
We should add that caveat. If there's an outstanding arrest warrant, then you will get picked up.
There is that potential. So a great question, Beatrice. Thank
Yes, thank
you
you.
for asking. Okay, let's get the 75 other questions.
Okay, it's now 81. Life of Geo wants to know, for an I-130 petition for a spouse, how long for processing in your best guesstimate?
All right. If we're talking about just the I-130 petition, and filing it with one of the service centers, it's going to take about 14 to 16 months for the I-130 petition to be approved. Now, guys, that's not the whole case, right? So just to manage your expectations, filing an I-130 petition for someone who's outside of the United States, like your spouse, is the very first step, and that is taking about 14 to 16 months for USCIS to approve. Then USCIS transfers it to the National Visa Center. That transfer can take anywhere from 30 to 60 days. At the National Visa Center, you have to complete the DS-260 form and upload all the required documents, upload your affidavit of support, your tax return, your pay stub, your W-2, police reports, all the things that are required at that stage. And if you do that perfectly, then there's a possibility that an NVC will say that you are documentarily qualified within a couple of months. And then you are in a holding pattern for when an appointment slot is available for your spouse to get their medical, and go to their interview. So it depends on the country, right? If we're talking about Manila, where there's a huge backlog, we're talking about Ciudad Juarez, we're talking about Sao Paulo, some African countries, then that's going to take a while. It's going to take probably 6-8 more months. So it's a bit. So for all the spouses out there who are waiting for this process, it is not your spouse's fault here in the United States. It is a very long process, and just communicate frequently and just hang in there, because there is going to be a wait.
Okay. I'm going to revise something I said a minute ago. I've had a chance to process it more. I don't think I've interacted with thousands of police officers. I'm going to say hundreds. The more I thought about that, I don't think
because they're all the same, right?
I can't imagine that I got up to 1,000.
I would say thousands of interactions.
Oh, thousands of interactions.
Yeah.
But I meant not 1,000 different police officers. The math there, in case anybody's out to running the numbers, that would mean that you were in. Okay. So let's see. Gren got another timing question. How long does it take for a J1 waiver to be approved?
Depends on the country. That is, depends on the reason for the waiver. Is it a no objection statement? Is it hardship? That's a lot of factors there.
Yeah, we get a lot of timing questions.
But a long time.
Time. Yeah, they're long, but
it's a long
every week we get a lot of questions about, how long this, how long that. I filed this, I still haven't heard, how much longer until they're really tricky to answer without knowing more details about the case. So,
right.
All right. How about I applied for TPS, but the country that I applied under is ending in August 2025.
So my recommendation is to go see an immigration attorney and see if there are any other things that you can apply for so you can stay. So get a case evaluation, and that's all you can do for right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
There have been several countries that got TPS designation. There are some that it's going away now. And so it depends on the country. And Radlin's right. You really should reach out to an immigration attorney and see what your options might be.
Right. I mean, we have to work with what we can work with, right? I mean, unfortunately, there are going to be many people who are going to be falling out of status, and that's unfortunate. But get your case evaluated, because there could be something there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there may be another option.
Audrey, we did not get your question, so go ahead and post it back up if you are still here. Hopefully you are.
Yeah. Okay. This is, can I travel with an extended letter green card? Thanks. Oh, and a couple of people have said, good to have you back. Thank you. So we took a little hiatus from these lives.
Was it about 6 months?
Yeah, it was about.
It was only supposed to be a month.
We took a short break that turned into about a 6-month break. So
a lot of things happened in between, but we're all good now. We're here.
But thank you for welcoming us back.
Yes,
that makes us
Thanks
happy.
for the love, guys. Wait, what was the question?
Can I travel with an extended letter green card?
Yes, you can. So extended letter green card. That is, I'm assuming, is when a person has a conditional permanent residency. They have a 2-year card, and they have filed the I-751 petition to remove their conditions in order to get their 10-year card. And USCIS, when you file that, they will give you a letter. Essentially, it's your receipt notice that you have filed it, and it's extending your permanent residency for 48 months. So yes, you can travel with that. Just obviously make sure you have your documents, you have your card, you have the letter, you have your passport. And great question.
Okay, Audrey.
Audrey has a long question.
Audrey posted it
back
actually
up. She's cut off. Here. Okay. I'm going to read it because it's too big to put on the screen.
Posted here, it's gonna.
Yeah, we don't want to cut our faces off. That would be terrible.
That'd be awful.
Yeah. All right. Just wondering if you have any Honduran clients that have received a consular interview appointment in Tegucigalpa for an I-130 601A process since Trump has taken office, or if there is any notable delay. Doesn't have to be mentioned on the Q. Okay, sorry. Applications have been approved. He's been found DQ. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't. We haven't heard anything, and I believe we have had some cases that have been recently approved, the 601A, the provisional waiver. But I don't see why this would affect that, whether it's going to be a difficult process, whether they're going to yank it, whether they're not going to allow them to come back. I mean, I don't know. Things are happening and changing so quickly, and then they're actually being retracted. So, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about provisional waiver. I believe provisional waiver is safe for now. And, there's this dialogue about legal immigration in the United States. And if they were to, and the provisional waiver is a process where our clients are trying to get legalized status, right? Like get in the line or get legal, or this is what our clients are trying to do. So if you then yank that benefit away, I mean, this is what we're trying to do. This is what our jobs are. This is what we do for a living. Our vocation is to help people get permanent residency in the United States, become a U.S. citizen, get temporary work visas, and make them permanent, and have the clients become permanent residents. So if you take those processes away, where's the legal immigration? I almost said a bad word. So I sincerely hope that the provisional waiver process does not change in any sort of significant way, because it's one of the only ways that we can get our clients back in here, and keep the families together, so we'll see how that goes. But I haven't heard anything. I'm really hoping, keeping fingers crossed, to see acid reflux is acting up when I get impassioned about stuff like this. But it's a really great question. I hope that has answered your question. Your question cut off a little bit, but we are still preparing our clients for interviews outside of the United States for provisional waiver. Now, that is one thing, guys, for provisional waiver cases out there. You need to be prepared for your interview. And if there's anything in your past, remember the 601A only waives unlawful presence in the United States. It doesn't waive anything else. It doesn't waive fraud. It doesn't waive crime. It doesn't waive TB. It doesn't waive things that might look like gang-related tattoos on your body. It doesn't waive drug use. It doesn't waive. It only waives the 3 and 10 year bar. So one of the questions that we ask our clients is like, do you have any tattoos?
Mm-hmm.
What do they look like? We have had clients who have gotten administrative delays because of what their tattoos look like. There's actually one case that somebody's just been stuck there forever because they think that there's gang-related tattoos, and this husband and wife are trying to get husband back over here but to say no because they're saying that it's a gang-related tattoo. So these are things that you have to be prepared for. And if we see anything like this, or we know that if our client leaves the United States, they're going to have a permanent bar because they've entered the United States more than once without inspection, we're not, and they're going to get permanently barred. We're not doing the 601A waiver. We're not going through that process. So it's awful when you find out that you can't use it or you're gonna have to file a different type of waiver because this is not waiving some other things, right? We had a client who we got him the 601 waiver for the unlawful presence. He went back to his country, and turns out he had fraud, immigration fraud, and we had to file another waiver for that. So he was stuck in his country for another 8 to 10 months. And that's not really, the whole point of the 601A waiver is so you're not stuck in the country and you're not apart from your family. Usually the person who's going is the breadwinner, right? So anyway, it was very interesting. We got him back, but he had a nice vacation. I think his wife was really trying to get him back because of all the kids, but and he wanted to come back too. I'm teasing. I'm not trying to make a light of it, but anyhow.
Okay, much appreciation to you both. And Sarah, okay, thank you. We'll pass that along.
Okay. Another question here on TikTok?
Yeah. All right. So Michiko wants to know.
I can't read that.
Says hi. Well, I only can because
I can read it. I can read it. Go ahead.
Says hi. If I married a citizen and I have a temporary green card for 1 year now and would want to move to a different country, can I file for a re-entry permit so that I can come back and use the green card?
Yes. So yes, you can. You can file a re-entry permit and be outside of the United States for more than a year without having to come back to the United States. But one thing is that you really need to maintain your ties in the United States, right? So the issue is, have you abandoned your lawful permanent residency, right? You say you're going to move to a different country. What's the reason? Why are you going there? Are you going there for school? Fine. Are you going there to take care of a sick parent? Okay. Are you going there to, sell some real estate and it's going to take some time? Fine. But you need to make sure that you are still maintaining your ties in the United States, and an officer's, when you're coming back in, it's not going to say, you've abandoned your green card, right? So that's the issue there. But yes, you can apply for a re-entry permit. We do a lot of re-entry permits for parents of U.S. citizens who insist on filing for their parents, and then their parents actually want to be outside of the United States more than inside the United States. It can become problematic. So anyhow,
parents seldom do what the children want them to do.
No, they have their own lives.
For some reason, they just want to, do their own stuff.
They just want to live their lives.
They just want to live their own lives. Go figure, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So that happens. And that's let me just say that if you want to petition for your parents, just have that conversation with them and just make sure that they want to stay, because you are taken them away from probably a really decent and good life back in their country, where they have, their friends, they have their tea, they have their merienda, they have their, public transportation. And then if you take them to somewhere like Virginia Beach, and then you know, you put them with the kids and they can't drive, you drive them crazy and you'll drive them back home.
Mhm.
So we have seen this time and time again
Yep.
over the 25 years that we have been in this business.
That's right. We have seen it we've seen that movie many times
Yep.
before. Let's see. And somebody here wants to know how much for a consultation. We charge $199 for a consultation.
The $199 was an experiment.
Yeah, well,
But,
it's
you know,
the current, it's the current
Here
rate.
we are with February 24. That's going away very soon.
Mhm.
Now,
It's currently $199.
yeah. So anyway, that was the experiment. The our consultation is $295 starting tomorrow.
March 1st. March 1st.
Is it March 1st? Okay.
March 1st.
Starting March 1st, right? Yeah. Well, our consultation has been $295 for the longest time, and we were testing a theory, and yeah, it's been $199 for about 8 weeks now, 6 weeks.
All right.
So $199.
TikTok folks, you got, let's see, you've got
March.
You have 4 days.
Well, and look, here's the thing about consultations with us. We are looking for clients, right? We want to meet with people that we can actually help and get a benefit for. We want to serve, and we want to be the heroes of your immigration case, right? Information is on Monday nights. We'll give you all the information that we can in an hour. We'll answer your question. It's not legal advice, but when you make an appointment with us, you are going to be screened to see if it's something that we can actually help with. We don't do information only consultations because, again, we want to be the hero, and we want to get you that green card. We want to get you that citizenship, that work visa, H-1B, whatever. Like that's what we're all about. And so just something to think about.
Yeah, the purpose of a consultation with us is not like, oh, I'm working on this myself, but there are like 3 questions that are confusing. So I'm going to schedule a consultation with an immigration lawyer to try to figure out how to answer these 3 confusing questions on the application. That's not what it's about. We are looking for people that are looking for an attorney to handle their case, start to finish, no matter how long it takes. We are your attorney for the entire life of your case. And really thereafter, we have clients that come to us years and years later, usually bringing us food, which is a really nice perk of this particular practice area. I don't know. I don't know if the divorce lawyers and the wills and estates people, I know my criminal clients, my criminal defense clients, they never brought me food.
Hey, you got a beautiful bouquet of flowers.
Once.
Hey, you won the jury trial. You deserved it.
Yeah, I know, but you'd think
one time.
There were other jury trials that I won that just the clients.
That was a huge one, though.
They just left the courtroom.
John won a marriage fraud jury trial case, which was amazing.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
So for all of you listening, clock is ticking.
Time is ticking.
You got 4 days before the prices go up. Okay.
Yeah, under $200 consultation for. Yep. Okay. Let's see here. I think we do have a question here. Let me take a look here. Okay. Rosalie says, hi, good to see you both back. Thank you. My husband is a 10-year green card holder. We went back home 3 times. 21, 22. Okay.
That's probably years.
Yeah, the years. Each travel, we always end up in secondary due to police report. Happened very long ago. It's not a criminal record. Will it give him trouble entering U.S. if we travel this year?
Boy, thanks. This is.
Yeah.
We've been talking about this, Rosalie. This is exactly on point with what we've been discussing.
And if you you might want to go back and watch what we said before, but we will repeat again because it is so important. Is the police report. Is it an arrest? Is it a charge? Is it a conviction? yes, you could, depending on what it is or what's in the police report. I mean, if it's a police report that it's something that just went away, you never got, your husband never got charged with anything, you might want to get proof and documentation that that is the case, that nothing was
Yeah, see,
charged. So
folks, this is
yes,
what we're talking about. This is a police report, and it's causing this secondary inspection every single time.
right. So okay, she says it's not a criminal record. Detention only, not charged. So when someone is detained by police, is there anything that you can do to get that off of the record? Or
What I would recommend is perhaps just having the report and then some sort of a docket report. You could show that nothing was ever filed.
okay, a docket report to show that nothing was ever filed. Is that something to get from
Yeah.
the court?
Yeah, I would go. I would not go because you don't want to waste a whole day and then come home empty-handed. I would call the clerk's office and start there.
Yep.
And
To get a docket report.
and tell them what the situation is, that there's a police report that was filed, but that no charges ever came from it. And you want something certified from the court showing that nothing was ever filed in their court stemming from this police report, so that you can show that when you're entering, so he can show that. And hopefully that can help.
And here's another question. Yes, okay, that's what I was about to say. I asked the immigration officer if it will go away if he files for citizenship. It may or may not. That's what I was going to say. File for U.S. citizenship. You may still be going into secondary inspection. One of our clients, actually not a client, a friend of mine, he's always getting stuck in secondary, and the officer,
The stories he tells are so funny. I mean, and it's not a laughing matter, but when he tells the story,
yeah,
it's very entertaining.
yeah, and the officer told him to apply for citizenship, and they wouldn't put him in secondary anymore. So that is anecdotal only. That's not a guarantee. I have a client the former client who always got put in secondary even after he became a U.S. citizen. So, but you should apply for citizenship if you are eligible. We talked about that for a couple of minutes. Go apply, go apply, go apply. You need to do it. 10-year green card holder. It's time. Great question, though.
Yes, thank you. That really dovetailed nicely with the very front end of our conversation. See, a spirit too says hi, Po.
Hello, Po.
All right. This was a repeat. Okay, Con wants to know, is it possible for me to apply for a tourist visa for my niece to accompany my mother here in the States?
Yes, it is possible to apply for a tourist visa for anyone. The question is, will your niece get the tourist visa, even for the stated reason? So it's tough to get a tourist visa these days. It all depends on your niece's situation. Is she working? Is she married? Does she have children? Does she have strong ties to her country? Or is she 23 years old and single and accompanying your mom? Like, these are the things that immigration looks for. The question is, do you have strong ties to your country? How likely are you to go back to your country after we give you permission to travel to the United States on this tourist visa to accompany your great aunt, your great aunt? That's the question. So yes, you can apply for it, and I urge you to do it, but just manage your expectations, knowing that depending on where your niece falls on the spectrum of, age, her marital status, what she has back home that she's leaving, does she have ties to her country? Those are all the questions that are going to come into play. And a lot of people, we don't do tourist visa applications anymore. We don't help people with that anymore. A lot of people say, hey, well, can I do a letter of invitation? Can I submit my taxes to show that I'm going to be able to to support her and that I'm going to support her. You can do all that, but they're probably not going to look at it. I mean, they say they're not going to look at it. So that's why we stopped doing it, because we would prepare a package and we would charge for it, of course, and we would prepare the client, and they didn't ask her anything. Just walked up, denied, right? And that was it. The clients were not happy, right? Because nothing that what we prepared was even looked at, and that still could be the case. I still think that you should provide your niece with a letter, and maybe a doctor's note as to why your mom needs a companion to take her back to the United States. Whether they look at it or not, she can try to hand it to them, but you should have it, but they probably won't look at it. All right.
Okay. G-Girl here wanted to know contact information for us. We should repeat this again, especially for those of you on TikTok, because you can't see our banner here on Facebook.
And you can also go to the bio, and our information is there as well on TikTok.
But our law firm is Gardner and Mendoza Immigration Law, and the phone number is 757-464-9224, or you can also reach out info@gmlaw.net. All right. And for those of you who maybe came in super late, my name is John Gardner, and this is my wife and law partner, Radlin Mendoza, and we are the immigration law firm Gardner and Mendoza, celebrating our 25th year. I keep saying that because I'm getting excited about our
25th
party.
year as a law
Awesome.
firm, 27 years married, right? 27 years.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know why I said married. Yeah, we are married. 3 kids, 3 daughters. Yes, 3 daughters.
That's right.
It is 9:02. Well, let's just have one more question since we're having such a good time.
Okay. Green card with traffic violation. Any problem with travels? Question mark.
What kind of traffic violation
I was
was
going
it?
to say it depends what kind of a traffic
I mean,
violation.
it shouldn't be if we're talking about a speeding ticket.
If we're talking about a minor, you ran a stop sign or something, probably not. If you're talking about, a DUI or something, you may want
get a certified disposition. You paid your fines. Right. So if we're talking about a DUI, then you should get a certified disposition of that, showing that it's just done and that you paid your fines and that you did all the things that you had to do, and carry that certified disposition with you. It's one more piece of paper to travel with. If you're talking about, reckless driving here in the United States, I'm sorry, not in the United States, in Virginia is speeding, but it's also a class 1 misdemeanor. So you got to be careful about those things. But generally speaking, no, those aren't going to be a problem, but depends on what the traffic violation is.
All right, taking one more. Annabelle, I want to apply to renew my residency. Which application do I need to fill out?
So if you are applying to renew your 5 or 10-year green card, then you complete form I-90. If you have a 2-year green card, then you need to remove the conditions on your green card, and that is the petition to remove the conditions. The petition to remove the conditions on lawful permanent residency, that is the I-751. Many people make the mistake of renewing, because you're not really renewing your 2-year green card. You are removing the conditions, but many people use the I-90 to renew a 2-year green card, and that is wrong. It will get rejected, and you will probably be late filing your I-751 if you do that. So, anyhow, we're out of time.
Yes, we are out of time.
We already ate, so I guess we're just going to have some water now.
I am very thirsty. Okay,
guys,
gang.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for all of your amazing questions. Your questions not only helped you, but helped other people who are listening and who will be listening later. So thank you so much. We will see you next week. Always a blast.
If we didn't get to your question, or you didn't hear a question that helps you answer your question, join us next Monday at 8 o'clock. We'll be here, and come early. Get your question in fast, and we'll hopefully get to it. All right, folks?
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
You have a great week.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs
Rock
up.
and roll, 25th year anniversary.
Always, yeah. See you, everyone.
Bye, guys.